Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today we're going over the news that Donald Trump actually co-endorsed two Republicans in Arizona's governor's race, going back when he just endorsed Republican Karrin Taylor Robson back in February. Now Trump has also endorsed fellow Republican candidate Andy Biggs in this contest. Faced with a dilemma following his endorsement of conservative Karrin Taylor Robson to run for governor of Arizona, President Trump on Monday announced he will also support Republican Andy Biggs after the lawmaker unexpectedly entered the contest, said Trump. Robson, a small business owner and lawyer, received Trump's endorsement when no one else was running, Trump wrote in a Truth social media post. Trump said, quote, "I like Karrin Taylor Robson of Arizona a lot, and when she asked me to endorse her with nobody else running, I endorsed her and was happy to do so. When Andy Biggs decided to run for governor, quite unexpectedly, I had a problem. As a workaround, Trump decided to endorse both candidates, Biggs and Robson. Both Republicans have touted having Trump's backing. Two fantastic candidates, two terrific people, two wonderful champions, and it is therefore my great honor to give my complete and total endorsement to both. Either one will never let you down. Make America great again," Trump said. In a statement to Fox News Digital, Robson says she was grateful for Trump's endorsement. "I'm so grateful to have the president's support. Today, President Trump reaffirmed what he told me from the rally stage in December when he urged me to run, that he supports me and has fully endorsed my Arizona First campaign. I cannot wait to be in the governor's office as a partner to his conservative America First agenda. Onward. Thank you at Real Donald Trump," Andy Biggs wrote on social media. "It has been an honor to support you and fight for your agenda since 2016. I look forward to fighting alongside you as governor of Arizona, the greatest state in the nation." Both candidates have pledged to focus on cutting taxes and stronger border security. "I thank President Trump for his strong endorsement and look forward to working with him to secure our border and make Arizona safe again," Robson said in a statement at the time of Trump's February endorsement. "Like President Donald Trump, I know how to create jobs, and like President Trump, I will not rest until our border is secure and Arizona families are safe." Arizona is currently led by incumbent Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs, who took office in 2023. The general election is set for November 3rd, 2026. So if you're watching this, you may be a little confused by this news and say, well, President Trump endorsed Karrin Taylor Robson. Why would he go back and now endorse Andy Biggs as well? Well, as Trump's statement said, he does like both candidates. Both Andy Biggs and Karrin Taylor Robson have definitely shown to be very loyal and cozy up to President Trump. But I think a big reason why Trump also did this is the early numbers show Andy Biggs in every Republican primary poll taken so far has been crushing Karrin Taylor Robson by a large number. And Trump, seeing as he likes both of these candidates, doesn't want to be on the losing side of picking the wrong Republican candidate. It's also worth noting that, as he mentioned, Karrin Taylor Robson was the only candidate at the time that was going to run. I'm not sure if Trump knew Andy Biggs was going to run. Taking his word for it, he did not know at the time Biggs was going to run. But had he known Andy Biggs was going to run, he probably would not have endorsed Karrin Taylor Robson. But either the point being, he endorsed Robson. He has now co-endorsed Andy Biggs as well, which sets this going to be a Republican primary of Biggs versus Robson, in which I fully expect, based on the early numbers so far, Andy Biggs to win over Robson, and probably by a pretty large margin as well. There was another hypothetical poll with several other candidates, though none of which are actually running, so there's really not too much to factor into that. On the Democratic side of things, as the article mentioned, the Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs has publicly expressed interest in running. She's not officially declared that she's running for re-election, but everything is expected that she will be running again, seeing as the Secretary of State and Attorney General both have said they're running for re-election and will not be running for governor again. As for other endorsements that have been made in this race, in addition to Donald Trump with the co-endorsement, Andy Biggs now has the endorsements of Lauren Boebert, Eli Crane, Paul Gosar, and all three of which are U.S. representatives, all members of the House Freedom Caucus as well. He also has the endorsement of Jake Hoffman, a state senator and at one point viewed as a potential candidate, and Debbie Lesko, a Maricopa County supervisor and former U.S. rep from Arizona's 8th Congressional District. Karrin Taylor Robson now has the co-endorsement of Donald Trump and Governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. And then, as I already went over the Republican primary polls, I already mentioned that again, I think right now Andy Biggs is more likely than not going to win this Republican primary, but that all remains to be seen. As for the general election, right now, the Cook Political Report Inside Elections has this race listed as a toss-up or a battleground, which I would agree with the characterization. There's been 3 polls conducted between Katie Hobbs versus Andy Biggs, 2 of which has Katie Hobbs leading Andy Biggs, 1 has Biggs leading. It should be worth noting, though, the only really recent poll from April has Katie Hobbs leading by about 4 points over Andy Biggs, though it is within the 4.4% margin of error, though Pulse Decision Science is affiliated with Republicans in the polls, so that could mean Katie Hobbs has a larger lead, but it also is worth noting it is within the margin of error, meaning the race could essentially be considered a tie that could really go either way. There's still 12% of the vote undecided, 46-42, still a long way to go on that front as well. For the Noble Predictive Insights poll back in February, this is a 3-point margin of error with a 40-38 separating for Hobbs over Biggs. So again, it seems to be the trend is Biggs or Hobbs may be slightly ahead of Biggs right now, but still a lot of undecided vote. And this one's 17% undecided, 5% saying other, still 3.1% margin of victory. The lead is well within that. In Crete Strategies, the one poll where Andy Biggs was leading over Katie Hobbs by 1 point, it is also within the 3-point margin of error, 924 people sample size, and 13% undecided. So this race is essentially as close as any race really could get in terms of running for governor in the state of Arizona. This is going to be a very close race, and as of right now, this is going to come down to the wire without a doubt. For Katie Hobbs versus Karrin Taylor Robson, however, it's a little bit of a different story, where in all 3 polls that have been taken so far, Katie Hobbs has led in all 3 of them, and aside from the Crete Strategies one, the first poll down here, all of these two polls, have Katie Hobbs leading over Robson by outside of the margin of error. Here, Katie Hobbs gets an extra percent, up to 47%, but Karrin Taylor Robson is only at 38%, while Andy Biggs was at 42% with 15% undecided, 3% or more undecided in this race than for when Biggs was the candidate. Where in the Noble Predictive Insights poll, Karrin Taylor Robson only has 35%, Biggs had 38%, 4% say other, but 18% are undecided in this one. This also has Katie Hobbs' support going up to 43%, whereas against Andy Biggs, she only had 40%. So at least these early polls so far seem to suggest that Andy Biggs may be the stronger Republican candidate when it comes to the floor of support, meaning Andy Biggs' floor of getting Republican voters seems to be higher than what Karrin Taylor Robson's is, and that's likely due to the fact that Andy Biggs is more well-known in the state of Arizona than Karrin Taylor Robson could be. The only problem is there does seem to be more undecided vote for Hobbs versus Robson, which maybe if the undecideds don't like Andy Biggs as much as Karrin Taylor Robson, that could down ballot actually hurt Andy Biggs' chances. This is all speculation. Of course, we're not going to know until the election happens and how the primary plays out. But it's interesting because the early numbers show Biggs is the stronger candidate than Karrin Taylor Robson, but the undecided numbers would make me a little bit curious into thinking, how do those undecideds view Robson versus Biggs? Because that may be a very close margin that ends up shifting this race between Republican or Democrat. Right now on the governor's map for 2026, Democrats start out with about 14 governor's races. Republicans start out with about 16. And then I have 6 races right now listed as battlegrounds, Arizona being chief among them. In my most recent election prediction video, I did have the state of Arizona narrowly going to the Republicans by under 1 point. This would be a flip from the Democrats to the Republicans, large part being the fact that we just saw the 2024 election where Arizona swung to President Trump by 5.5% over Kamala Harris. And governor's races are certainly different than presidential races. We did see back in 2022 where Katie Hobbs narrowly defeated Kari Lake by 0.67%. We also saw in 2018 at the same time when Doug Ducey ran for re-election, he won by 14.2%. So Arizona is a very interesting state. It's definitely a battleground state. It's going to be very, very close to watch. I do think the Republicans, even with the Democratic governor, do have a slight advantage in the state of Arizona, whereas maybe they don't have much of an advantage in a state like Wisconsin or Michigan that was decided by less than 1.5% in both cases in 2024. Arizona, I think Arizona starts out by under 1 point right now in favor of the Republicans and potentially a flip governor's race. I'm interested to hear what you have to think. Make sure to leave a comment below. Tell me your thoughts about the Arizona's governor's race and who do you think is going to win it. Make sure to also give the video a like and click subscribe, as well as I post at least 2 new videos every single day you're not going to want to miss. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you in the next video.